Welcome back to Learn SKN, and today we have another economics paper 1 video for you, the May-June 2014. And we know that CSEC is about to, for the 2020 exam period, they might want to give us just paper 1s and SBAs, so you know paper 1s are a little crucial right now. So let's just jump into it. The May-June 2014 economics, principles of economics paper 1. Let's get into it. Number 1, which of the following rewards accrues the factor of production called capital? And the best answer here is D, interest. Number 2, an economy is best described as a system where, and the best answer here is D, resources are used to produce goods and services to meet the needs and wants of society. Number 3, which of the following pairs of activities a country falls under tertiary sector? And the answer here is banking and tourism. Number 4, which of the following is not one of the ways in which governments influence economic decisions of business? Not. And the best answer here is increasing retirement benefits. Of course, passing minimum wage affects your labor, regulating emissions affects your production costs, identify areas you have to locate, of course, affects your location. Number 5, item 5 refers to the following diagram, which shows the relationship between the production of good X and Y by a certain country using all its resources. That's the production possibility curve right there. What name is given to the curve represented above? And the best answer is PPC or PPF, production possibility curve. That's D. Number 6, Anna is considering the purchase of a new laptop computer. Which of the following factors is least likely to influence her decision? And the best answer is C, the cost of producing the computer. Number 7, which of the following factors cause money to lose value and become less effective as a medium of exchange? And the answer here is inflation. Number 8, the allocation of resources in a mixed economy is determined by, and the best answer is government, consumers, and producers. It's a mixed economy, government, consumers, and producers. Number 9, choice is the most important issue in economics because, and the answer is C, resources are scarce relative to consumer wants. Number 10, prices of goods in the market economies fluctuate while prices of goods in the planned economies tend to be fixed. The most likely reason for this difference is that the market economy, demand and supply forces determine prices. So in a market economy, the free market economy, the demand and supply, the forces of the market affect the price. Number 11, in an attempt to increase efficiency of its staff, management assigns specific tasks to each worker. This is an example of C, specialization. Number 12, which of the following financial instruments are issued by the government? And the best answer here is A, treasury bills. Number 13, a government reduced tax on carrots. This caused the price of carrots to fall by 50%. Demand rises by the same 50%. The price elasticity of demand of carrots is, and the answer is 1 or unitary. You know, 50 divided by 50, that's 1. Number 14, Sam and Jack started a catering business. They took out a bank loan, acquired a site in a busy city center, and hired 2 catering assistants. Under which factor of production would the roles of Sam and Jack be classified? And the answer here is D, entrepreneurial talent. Alright, entrepreneurial talent. They started the business, they brought the X factor of production together, so entrepreneurial talent. Number 15, which of the following should entrepreneurs consider when deciding which good to produce? And the choices are cost of resources, 2, availability of resources, and 3, level of inflation. And the best answer here is 1 and 2, which is A, the cost of resources and availability of resources. Number 16, which of the following is a reward to the factor of production? Which of the following is a reward to a factor of production? And the best answer here is profits declared by a company in its annual report, because that's the reward for entrepreneurship as a factor of production. 17 refers to the following diagram, which shows the price and quantity demanded for good X. We have it right here. Number 17, the movement of demand curve of good X from D to D1 results from an increase in, and the best answer is A, consumer income. That's one that causes a shift. This causes a movement. This would not be it, and this would not be it because it's about supply. Number 18, According to economic theory, second-hand cigarette smoke is an example of, and the best answer here is C, a negative externality. Number 19, which of the following diagrams illustrate perfectly inelastic demand? And the best answer here is D, right here, where it's vertical, perfectly vertical. That's inelasticity, perfect inelasticity. Number 20, Chanel spends 0.02% of her monthly income on a particular good. Her demand for this good in terms of price can be described as, and the best answer here is inelastic, because depending on the amount of your salary you spend on a good, if it's a little bit, then it would be because it's inelastic. Number 21 refers to the following curves which show the demand for products. Which of the following curves indicate demand for the product is perfectly elastic? As a perfect elasticity would be indicated by this one straight across the horizontal, and so that's A1. 22, the main objective of credit union is to, and the best answer is B, encourage thrift among its members, so encourage them to save, to be economical. Number 23, which of the following best explains the term tariff? And the answer is the tax that is levied on imports entering a country. 24, one example of entrepreneur is, and the answer is A, a shop owner. Number 25, a normal supply curve for farm products will slope upwards from left to right if farmers are willing to produce more as the price increases. So they're showing that there's a positive relationship between price and supply. They have a positive relationship. Price go up, supply goes up. Item 26, 27 refers to the following table, which shows the production cost of 3 units of a product. Alright, so you have the table right here, and 26 asks, what is the marginal cost of the second unit? Alright, so marginal cost would simply mean change, you do that by change in total cost over change in the units, and so that would be 1, of course, and this would be 5. So it should be, marginal cost should be 5 for this one, so the answer is A. And then in 27, now 27, again, there's an error on this paper. The 2014 Econ paper 27 says, what is the total cost when 3 units are produced? And no matter which way you turn it, it's not going to be any of these, because it's not going to be 125, it's not going to be 130 because we already have those in, 155 is not going to be, and if you do the maths, you will only you'll get 190. All right, you get 190. So if you put 190 here and you take away the difference from 190, so it's like, what takeaway from that would give you 60? So if you add it back, you get 190. So if 190 should be here, all right, here should be 190. All right, now the reason why I say it's an error is because if you jump, I'm going to jump to the 2016 paper right here. That's the 2016 paper, and you see they basically fixed that error. So this one would be, a wash. So don't take on that one for now. It should be 190. 28, which of the following is not a characteristic of perfect competition? And the best answer here is B, many buyers and 1 sellers. This is a characteristic of monopoly. So it's B, many buyers, many sellers. 29, money is a long-lasting, easy to carry around, and can be changed into smaller denominations. Which of the following characteristics of money are being described above? And the best answer here is C, durability, long-lasting, portability, easy to carry around, and can be changed in the small amount, divisibility. So it's C. Number 30, which of the following, item 30 refers to the following economic measures: decrease in money supply, increase interest rates, reduce bank rates. Which of the following measures can be used to reduce inflation? Now for this one, number 30 is a little tricky, because I think there was an error on this question for number 30, because the reality is this: which of the following measures may be used to reduce inflation? And to reduce inflation, the government can decrease the money supply, because when you decrease the money supply, that means there's less money out there to spend, so therefore that would reduce inflation. And they can also increase the interest rates. So if you increase the interest rates, that means borrowing money is more expensive, and so people will refrain from borrowing money, so they don't have as much money in the market to buy stuff. So the answer for this one is supposed to be 1 and 2. So, but CXC, I guess this was an error. I'm sure this was an error. 1 and 2 supposed to be the answer. So you cannot go wrong with 1 only or 2 only. For sure, 3 cannot be in the answer, because 3 reducing the bank rate means that the bank has more money now at their disposal, and so they would lend out more. So this measure would not reduce inflation; it would actually increase inflation. Anyone with 3. So any with 3 cannot be right. So therefore, it should be 1 and 2 only, but the option is not there. So if you see that, make sure you make that correction on the paper. Number 31. Which of the following factors has led to the rapid expansion in e-commerce? And the best answer here is the emergence of the internet, because you cannot have e-commerce without the internet. They go hand in hand together. Number 32, one example of a good is, and the good are tangible things you can touch. And so the answer is A, a bottle of soda water. All the rest here are services, you cannot touch them. 33, country A is experiencing a balance of payment deficit. Which of the following measures can it take to reduce the deficit in the short term? So balance of payment deficit, so how do they reduce that? So they simply introduce measures to reduce level of imports, because when you have a deficit, that means exports are exceeding imports. So as a country, you're importing more than you're exporting. So you're importing more than you're exporting, so you're a net importer. And so if you introduce measures to reduce the level of imports, that can reduce the balance of payment deficit. If you increase importation, trouble, more deficit. Reduce the volume of exports, it's about the value. It's not really it's not about the volume, it's the value. Engage in low trade, no. So the best answer is D. 34. Which of the following central banks do not, which the function of the central bank do not include? And the best answer is providing loans to the public. That's for the commercial banks. 35 refers to this table right here. What is equilibrium price? Just like the one before. 350. Supply demand 12. So that's $12. Number 36. Which of the following item is considered legal tender? And the answer here is, the best answer is the $10 bill. 37. The central bank calls for an increase in the reserve requirements of commercial banks. How will it affect the operations? Their liquid assets will be reduced. They don't have as much money at their disposal. 38. Which of the following is considered a withdrawal from the circular flow of income? And the answer here is savings. Savings is a withdrawal. Investments, all those things are injections. Savings, you take it out, that's a withdrawal. 39. The type of unemployment which arises because a particular economic activity which creates jobs is available only during a particular period of year is known as, and the best one here is seasonal unemployment. 40. The measure that is most likely to reduce inflation is a reduction in government expenditure. Let's break it down. A, an increase in the bank lending. No, that's more money in the streets. An increase in import duties. No, that's more people. Well, no, that's just that would just be protectionist, and I would just protect the local market, but that doesn't mean that people are not going to buy more from the local. And then you have a reduction in direct taxation. Once you reduce tax, then you have more money to spend, so there's more inflation. But if government reduce its expenditure, meaning they don't really invest in certain projects, then not much jobs would be there, and so not much people would have money. 41. The amount of net exports in a country is given as a negative 10 million. This indicates that the value of export is, and the answer is less than imports. That's why it's a negative. When you're calculating this, you have to put exports minus imports. You put exports first, take out the imports. So you know if export is less than imports, then you get a negative number. So exports is less than imports. 42 refers to the following incomplete equation. GDP equal unknown plus total expenditure equal unknown. So it is testing about the types of way to calculate GDP. So which of the following can best replace the two unknowns in the equation? And the answer is the output method and the income method, along with the expenditure method, and that's how we calculate GDP. 43. Large firms can achieve savings in unit costs as a result of advertising and packaging. These kind of economies of scale can be classified as marketing economies of scale. As you get bigger, marketing becomes cheaper. 44. Which of the following is not used as a payment for goods and services? And the best answer here is insurance policy. 45. A country has a comparative advantage in the production of commodity when it can produce commodity at a lower opportunity cost than any other country. So that's the key here, opportunity cost, a lower opportunity cost. 46 refers to the following table, which shows economic data for two countries, P and R, using their individual resources. You see the mere number of mobile phones that can produce 10,000 for P, 8,000 for R, number of microwave ovens, 5,000 for P, 12,000 for R, total 1817. Using the comparative advantage, we have the following above country P produce, and the best answer is a microwave only, because you see they have a comparative advantage when producing microwaves. Alright, if you do the maths, you'll see that if you put the 5,000 over the 10,000, then you will be able to calculate how much oven they have to give up, and the answer is just 0.50. Whereas if you put the 10,000, which is the phones, over the ovens, now that would give you 2. And so you will see that the P would have a comparative advantage when producing microwave ovens, as opposed to country R, who would have to give up 1.5. I give it 1.5 ovens for this level right here. 47 refers to the following diagram, which shows a relationship between the demand for and supply of shirts. And so we have it right here. Look a little complicated, but let's break it down. There is a shift in the demand curve from D to D1. There is a simultaneous shift in the supply curve from S to S1. What happens to the equilibrium price after these shifts? So if we follow it here, at first D and S, you have an equilibrium price of Y, and it's at Y. But when D shifts to the right and S also shifts to the right, boom, so boom, boom. So this is in your one, B, and so B, you see a higher price. So it increased from Y to B. The equilibrium price increased from Y to B. 48 refers to the following information. You have quantity of corn, quantity of beans. Which of the following statement is true? And the best answer here is Bigville has a comparative advantage in producing corn. Alright, Bigville has a comparative advantage in producing corn, because to produce corn, Smallville have to give up 4 beans, whereas Bigville only have to give up 0.4 beans. So they have comparative advantage in producing corn. 49. Which of the with a floating exchange rate, the exchange rate is determined by, and the best answer here is D, supply and demand. When it's floating, it's at the mercy of the market, so that's supply and demand, so that's D. 50. The currency of the country may appreciate in the value if, and the best answer here, if the demand for its exports rises. So if people want the products that you produce in your country, then the demand for your currency will go up, and so therefore it will appreciate in value. Alright. 51. When an economy which was once booming suddenly starts to experience a low demand for goods and services, leading to companies and business closing down, rising unemployment, and falling standards of living, the country is said to be experiencing, and the answer here is B, a recession. Downturn in economic activities is a recession. 52. The economic system where major economic decisions are made by private individuals and businesses is known as the free market. 53. Which of the following is usually a direct effect of retrenchment in a country? And the answer is a reducing standard of living. Retrenchment means that demand is falling, and so companies close down or send home people. So there's just low demand in the economy, and so it leads to layoffs. Layoffs lead to less money, and so you have a reduced standard of living. 54. Which of the following organization has adopted a single currency to facilitate trade and people movement among its member countries? And the best answer here is, of course, the EU. Alright, the best answer is the EU, because the CSME is not a currency union. CARICOM is not a currency union. The EU is a currency union. 55. Which of the following organization aims to promote the free movement of capital and labor across member states? And the best answer here is CSME. That's what CSME is all about. Can be Caribbean Development Bank. It's not that, so it's CSME. 56. Which of the following is not an example of a primary product? And the answer is furniture, because that would be secondary. So that's B, furniture. That's a secondary level production. 57. Refers to the following table, which shows the current account section of a country's balance of payments for 2008. What is the country's balance of merchandise trade? And the answer here is negative 38 million, where you add up all the visible imports. Sorry, you take the visible imports and exports, you take the 32 and then minus the 70, and that's how you got the negative 38. The merchandise trade is just about visible, the visible ones, not the invisible, the visible. So that's the 32. I remember I always say it's exports minus imports, and so it's a small number, 32 minus 70, and so you get the 38. 58. An outward shift in the production possibility curve can cause by, and the best answer here is C, improvement in technology. Okay, outward shift means production has expanded, and so that's the technology. 59. Joe Brown sells his produce at the market and saves his money until enough to buy a car, which is the following function is the money performing in this case, and the best answer here is a store of value. A store of value. Item 60 refers to the following table, which shows manufacturing output as a share of GDP, gross domestic product, for 4 countries, A, B, and C. And so you see A, B, C, D, and so you see 80, 28, 90, 23, 2019, same thing. So you realize that it started high and again it going down. And what does it say? The table shows all countries experience, and the best answer is a decline in manufacturing output as a share of gross domestic product. So manufacturing is becoming a weaker and weaker contributor to the economy. And so that's basically it for the 2014 Econ CSEC paper 1. And if you realize something, if you look at the video from 2013, you will realize a bunch of questions repeated themselves, a good amount repeated themselves. There were a few errors on this paper, but no, that will be corrected later on. When I drop the 2015 and 16 papers, you'll also see some of them repeating as well. So the only way to see when I drop the 2015 and 16 papers would be, of course, to subscribe, like the video, please do, and of course hit the notification bell so you know when I drop a next video. Alright, so that's it for now. Learn SKN. Please stay tuned for more paper ones, as you know, CXC moving for that for 2020 season. Alright, that's it for now.